Good morning, everybody, and welcome to That's My Farm. I'm your guest host, Jim Doblin, and we're in cotton country near Caldwell, Kansas, in Sumner County, on the farm of Steve Schmidt, who farms cotton, milo, soybeans, winter wheat, and a variety of other crops. He also has some livestock, namely sheep. We'll talk to Steve about all of that when we return. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Good morning and welcome to That's My Farm. I'm your guest host, Jim Doblin. We're in Sumner County at the Steve Schmidt farm. And usually we talk about wheat, corn, soybeans, but today we've got another crop to talk about, and it's a crop that Steve got involved with many years ago, and that's cotton and the field behind us. Steve, welcome to the program. Kind of tell me about the history of your farm and what you do.
Well, my dad started farming here in around 32, and in 1980 is when I bought it from my dad and family. And since then, we've progressed more away from the wheat into more diversification of other crops. And so we have a fair diversity of all the crops. And then in 95 is also when I switched to no-till.
Okay. You talked about the variety of crops, the diversity you have. Let's run through all of your crops. What do you have on this property?
We start out with corn, and then in late April, we can be planting green sorghum or milo.
Right.
Then in May, we have cotton. Early June, we'll be planting soybeans. We'll be harvesting wheat in June, and then turn around and plant a subsequent crop or a second crop of milo or soybeans. And then we start harvesting in August or September on the corn and progress into February. It's usually the end of our cotton harvest.
That late?
That late.
Wow, you don't get much rest, do you?
Well, we try to keep busy.
And on top of all of that, you have some livestock as well. Well, you have sheep.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
When my dad was farming, we had both registered Angus cattle and sheep. And as he got older, he got out of the Angus cattle. I had cattle up until 95 also. Because of the shortage of grass, I finally went ahead and sold them and stayed primarily with the sheep.
Right. And you use the sheep for both wool and meat, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you've basically got two fabric styles covered here, the wool and the cotton.
Yes.
And we see this gorgeous field of white behind us. You're having a pretty good year cotton-wise.
Yes, we are. The last couple of years we've had some timely rains to allow us to optimize our yield on the cotton.
And we'll talk about this a little bit more in depth in the next segment, but cotton doesn't need much moisture or it needs a certain amount at certain times.
The basic plant requires about 6 inches of moisture, which is pretty low for all the crops. And then every inch of moisture after that 6 inches will produce about 100 pounds of cotton. So it's very water efficient.
Right. And do you double crop on this, or do you leave this, once this is done, what happens to this field?
As soon as we're done harvesting the cotton in February, we have about 30 days to apply, during March, to apply fertilizers or make any modifications to the field we need to, and then we will be planting corn into this cotton stalks.
Great. All right, well, Steve Schmidt, hang on here, and hang on, folks. We've got to take a brief break. We'll be back with more of That's My Farm in just a moment.
Summer is busy at Tarwater Farm and Home. We have just about everything you'll need for your summer projects, and we're consistently competitively priced. Tarwaters can help make your grass and garden grow, and we have a huge variety of equipment to cut it. If you have a farm, Tarwaters has the products and equipment to keep it going strong. And our expanded parking lot will make it even more convenient to shop. So come see us at Tarwater Farm and Home in Topeka.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
I'm Sarah, and this is my husband, Travis.
We both grew up working on family ranches, me in Northern California and Travis in Kansas.
We met in college, got married, and took corporate jobs in the beef industry. But soon we realized we missed the production side of the industry. So we made the daring move to start our own cattle business in southeast Kansas, while also starting our family. Watch our story and the stories of other young Kansas food producers at kansaslivingmagazine.com/meetafarmer.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back, folks, to That's My Farm. I'm your guest host, Jim Doblin, on the Steve Schmidt farm in Sumner County near Caldwell, Kansas. Not far from Oklahoma, actually, right, Steve?
You're right, about 10 miles.
You grow cotton among other crops, among a variety of crops. Talk about what's involved with these plants, when you plant, and the care and feeding of this stuff.
We start out generally in mid-May. We have to have about 60-degree soil temperatures for the plant to grow very well. And then we monitor all our cotton or all of our fields twice a week at least to see whether or not we're having any insect damage or the stage of growth, the speed in which the plant is growing. If it gets to growing too fast, we sometimes have to apply a growth retardant, an oxygen inhibitor, that reduces cell elongation, and that'll stay in the plant for about 2 weeks.
Right. You talked about the growth rate of this plant. What you said 3 days for a?
Yeah, between each of these plants, the cotton is very, very predictable, and between each of these vertical nodes is 3 days of growth. And then between each of these bowls out is 6 days.
Wow.
And so this 3 inches here is longer than we'd like to have, but that is 3 days growth, so it averaged over an inch a day.
Right. You'll take the whole plant, correct?
What it does is we leave the plant in the ground, we just pull these bowls off with a stripper.
Okay. What do you like to see as far as rainfall and when?
Well, it doesn't use a whole lot of moisture until it starts to flower, and that's going to be the last part of July, the 1st of August.
Right.
And
it's probably when you don't get enough rain.
Well, actually, we do have a pretty high incidence of a 2-inch rainfall the first week of August.
That's good.
And if we can get that, we have a pretty decent crop. This year, we had good rainfall through July into the 1st of August, and then it pretty much shut off after that. But we had enough moisture into the soil. With its deep root system, it was able to utilize that and go ahead and produce a very good crop.
And where does this cotton end up?
It's a high quality cotton, so they can use it in any clothing or any type of use of the cotton.
So the shirts we're wearing could very well be from this cotton.
Yes.
And you take it to local gins, correct?
Yes. We have 2 gins within about 40 miles of here.
How long does it take to harvest a field of cotton like this?
Well, we have 2 of the larger type of strippers available with 8 rows, and we can do 10 or so acres an hour. We have to have low humidity, so our days are fairly short. 4 to 5 hours is about the only time long as we can harvest.
Right. And you said you got into the cotton business in the 80s or the 90s?
It was mid-90s. 1995 was my first cotton crop.
What made you decide to go into cotton?
I was looking at a variety of crops that we could grow, and with its water use efficiency, I'd tried sesame and sunflowers and then cotton, and cotton came out the winner above soybeans as far as reliability and its water use efficiency.
Right. So here we are.
Yes.
All right, folks, we'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Stay tuned for more from the Steve Schmidt farm near Caldwell, Kansas.
SureCrop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer it and work with you.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com. That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back to That's My Farm. We're on the Steve Schmidt farm near Caldwell, Kansas. He farms cotton, he's got milo, he's got corn, he's got beans, and he also has wheat. And we see the winter wheat planted behind you. So you've got quite a rotation here.
Well, that way we can keep something growing just about all the time. So when we do get weather that is advantageous to a particular crop, we have a crop out there that can take advantage of it.
Right.
After their cotton, we'll get that harvested in February. By the 1st of April to the middle of April, we'll be planting the corn. And September, we'll be harvesting the corn, which this was harvested last September. And then at the end of September, 1st of October, we'll be planting the wheat. We've been grazing this about 30 days now, so it's down a little bit on its growth. We're ready for a fall application of fertilizer on it.
You talked about your no-till practices. How long have you been doing that?
Since '95.
Right.
So we've been at it, 20 years now.
Wow. And the benefits of that?
Well, the advantage of no-till, besides reducing fuel inputs and stabilizes our soil, it allows us to do a better job of cycling our nutrients and keeping the nutrients available to the plants. Reduces the erosion immensely and retains a lot of moisture. I have that type of rotation on all my landlords' ground also to reduce their risk. But here it also allows me to have the number of acres I won't have a year that I will not have some grazing available if I have it broke up with a variety of crops.
Right.
Research indicates that if you plant a crop that's behind itself or following itself, regardless of tillage practices, you're going to lose 10%. So just don't do that. And that way, when I'm rotating between spring planted crops and fall planted crops, I can tuck them in right behind the harvest of another one, and that allows me to transition between crops without time lag.
Right. And this year's been a pretty good year all around for crops.
Yes, it has.
Really, I mean,
Yes, it has. The wheat was not very good because it was dry up until the middle of May. So that was our, we have crops that were able to utilize that moisture at the end of May and into June, and that's where the advantage of having the rotation.
All right, we'll be back following these brief messages, and we're going to talk to Steve about his livestock, which is another part of the fabric end of this operation. So stay tuned, we'll be right back.
My name's Karen Cope, and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. After stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before. Because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. They all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? Where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
This is one of my favorite bits that I make. The name I give this bit is a derby bit. I had a roan head horse that was running through the bridle with the chain bit, and I made this bit here. It really worked good on that horse. I sent this bit to Donnie McNeese, who breaks in cattle for Jeff Smith and Ike Cox, and I said, ride this bit on a lot of horses, see how you get along with it. They did. He said, Bull, that's really a good bit. Fits a lot of horses. Then I give this bit to my good friend Brent Wright, who I make bits for, and I said, see how this bit will work on a reining horse. I call him up a couple months later. I said, Brent, how you getting along with that bit? And he said, good. He said, you don't need it right this minute, do you? And I said, no. He said, good, because I'm down here in Texas and I just won a big futurity riding that bit. And when Brent got home, he gave me the buckle that he won the futurity with. I'm really proud of that buckle that Brent Wright gave it to me, and also that he got along so good with my bit.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome once again to That's My Farm. I'm your guest host, Jim Doblin, along with Steve Schmidt in Caldwell, Kansas, on his farm and sheep ranch. Steve, you have some livestock, that being sheep, to complement, I guess, your cotton, because then you've got two fabrics. You've got the wool over here and the cotton over there.
Yes.
How big is the herd, and when did you get into the sheep raising business?
In 1980, that was when I got started with sheep, and I had cattle also up until 95, and then due to available acres of grass and other cropping time requirements, I got out of the cattle and kept the sheep. In the 80s, I was running around 400 head of ewes, and also getting in about 4,000 feeder lambs through the winter. And that also quit in 95. I've just been maintaining a ewe herd of around 200 head.
And you basically let them graze on the land behind us.
Yes, letting them do the harvesting is the most efficient, and so I try to keep between the summer crops and then winter wheat, and allow them to do all the harvesting.
Right. So they're doing the work for you.
Well, yes,
yeah.
Yes.
That's a good thing. And you get wool and meat out of these sheep.
Yes,
correct?
I do. Yes,
Correct.
I do.
So
it's commercial. We're not doing registered herd. It's commercial production, so we're going for both meat, and we used fine wool breeds, so we do have quality wool.
Wow. And when do you usually shear the sheep? Is it springtime?
Normally in the middle of April.
Yeah.
1st of April is when we'll shear them. When we had feeder lambs, we sheared every month. And but in the ewe flock, the best time is in April, right before we go into the breeding season.
Right. And how do you maintain the herd? You've got you've got a dog, one dog or two dogs?
I've got one border collie for helping to help move the sheep, and then I have a Pyrenees border collie cross. That's he leans toward the Pyrenees. He's a big, large white dog, and he does very good about keeping the coyotes at bay, guarding the sheep.
Right. Because coyotes can be a problem.
They definitely are a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he does that work. And as far as the meat you get out of these, what, lamb chops? What kind of a yield do you get out of them?
Well, we sell these to commercial processors, and so they're shipped to Colorado to be slaughtered.
Right.
Then they're sold throughout the U.S.
Right. Do you envision branching out into any other livestock, or is the sheep about all you can handle?
With the time requirements we have, restrictions, sheep is pretty much it.
Yeah.
I have toyed with, since I've gained some more ground with some more pasture, going into more cattle, but at this time I'm still in the sheep.
Okay. Well, Steve Schmidt in Caldwell, Kansas, on his farm in Sumner County with the sheep. We're going to return after these messages with more of That's My Farm. Stay with us.
Welcome to our Bar B, 8,000 plus square feet Western store with something for everyone in the family. We have boots, belts, hats, jeans, anything you could want to outfit you and your horse. Come visit our line of saddles. We have 400 plus new and used saddles in stock. We offer tack, grooming supplies, headstalls, breast collars, you name it, we've got it for you and your horse. That's our Bar B, 1 mile east of Highway 4 on Northeast 39th. Our Bar B, where Western is a way of life.
Fort Wallace was the fightingest fort in the West. Fossils, Indians, soldiers, scouts, wagons, trails, pioneers, stories. Discover the story of Fort Wallace and the people who served here, the people who fought here, the people who settled here. Wallace County, where the past is present.
Hi, I'm Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities, big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Welcome back into That's My Farm on the Steve Schmidt farm near Caldwell, Kansas in Sumner County. I'm your guest host, Jim Doblin. And Steve has got a multitude of crops, some livestock, that being sheep, and he's about ready to harvest the last crop of this fall, and that's cotton. And Steve, you were telling me that you actually harvest cotton all the way till February.
Yes, usually we can get started on it after the frost or end of October, and due to weather restrictions, we may end up into February usually.
Okay, and these machines behind us, these are strippers.
Yes.
Explain what they do.
They have a brush and bat that each row goes by. They revolve the opposite direction of what you're going, and that pulls the cotton off of the plant. So basically your plant's going through here, these are rotating opposite the way you're going, and that pulls the cotton off. Versus a picker, they have a spindle that pulls the cotton out while the plant is still green. But these take everything off of off the plant to run to the...
So you're getting every boll basically off of these plants.
Yes.
With the stripper.
Yes.
And you got an 8-head stripper?
Yes, both of them are 8-row head.
Okay. And usually this process, then what happens after it lands in here? What happens to the cotton? How is it formed into the bales?
Well, when it goes out of the head, it'll go into a burr extractor that pulls the burrs out of the cotton. That'll leave primarily the lint and seed into the baskets. We'll dump into a bolt buggy, and that'll take it over to a module builder. And the module builder is what is used to pack those into those large loads of modules.
Right, and those things are, how long are they and how much do they weigh? Because they look pretty substantial. I don't think we could lift one of those.
No, they're around 9 foot tall and 7.5 foot wide, 32 foot long, and they'll weigh around 20,000 pounds.
Wow. And how many modules do you get out of these fields every year, roughly?
Well, each module will have about 12 bale. And so if you have bale to acre cotton, that'd be 12 acres worth. This year we're running about 2 bale to acre. And so
about a good year.
Yes,
for you, right?
yes. We've been running about 1.5 bale to 2 bale, 900 to 1,000 pounds of cotton a year.
Right.
So about every 6 acres we have a module. And that normally takes us about a half hour to build each module.
Wow. And then you cover them.
Yes, with tarps.
And then someone comes and picks them up. The gin picks them up in trucks.
Yes, after we get a module done, we tarp it to protect it from wind and moisture. We tag it with the gin number, and they will come. We call them, and they come and pick them up and take them to a module field to process later.
And the gins, surprisingly, are not very far away from you. You've got one east and west, correct?
Yep. Yeah, both of them are around 35 to 40 miles away.
Wow, that's great. So you really don't have much in the way of transportation.
No, it does require a specialized truck to pick those modules up, but they have them.
Great. So when are you going to be done with your harvest this year, you think?
We're sure going to be pushing in February.
Okay. Well, we've got nice mild weather, so good luck with that.
Thank you.
Steve, good to talk with you. Great being out here in your Caldwell, Kansas. And thank you folks for watching That's My Farm. We'll be back next week with another edition, so stay with us. See you then.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.